So hi, this is Nick Williams, sitting here with Jeff Allen. Hi Jeff.
Hi Nick.
We are having some fascinating discussions, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about, in your perspective you talk a lot about how we go into sacrifice and sacrifice patterns that lead us to kind of martyrdom and burnout and all sorts of shenanigans in our life. Can you just explain for people that wouldn't necessarily understand it, what do you understand by sacrifice? What is it? How do we set those things up in our lives?
Yeah. Now, I think let's talk about it in relationships first, because that's the area that it kind of shows up more in any other area. And it's that feeling in a relationship. Usually most relationships, one partner seems to be carrying the other partner in some way, or being in sacrifice. And usually when a relationship breaks up or something doesn't work, there's all that sense of relief and oh thank God and all that kind of stuff. That talks about how much sacrifice was going on in the relationship. And the thing about that is the extent to which we're in sacrifice now in a relationship is also the extent that we were in sacrifice in our original families. And basically it's where we didn't feel we could be who we were in our original families. We didn't feel like, oh, actually this is who I am, and shine and everything else. In fact, you took one look around and looked at your family and went, oh God, what a mess. How can I be myself and be in this family? So we then create ourselves into what we think other people want, like our parents or society wants. So we sort of give up on ourselves and we go into sacrifice.
So sacrifice is where we give up on ourselves and go into a role and a compensation that we think is going to be acceptable and lovable to people around us.
And we do honestly believe that it'll help. And on one level we go into sacrifice to our parents as kids, and we try and carry them. But the problem is after the one thing everyone needs to learn about sacrifice is it doesn't work. It's like if you're trying to make someone happy and you're doing it through sacrifice, you got to work really hard, and as soon as you stop, they go back to being miserable again. It's like
just sacrifice doesn't make us happy, and it doesn't help the people to be happy that we were trying to help. So actually it's a real lose-lose, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, it's worse than
recipe for hell.
So most people deal with it by going independent, by going get dissociated. I'm going to distance myself from my family, from my parents, and so you leave or dissociate from your
other side of the world, or just dissociate, or you become very independent.
Absolutely. But the trouble is then when we get back into relationships, start getting close to people, then of course all that sacrifice comes up. It's like going back to visit your family at Christmas. You go, this Christmas is going to be different. I'm going to go there, and 20 minutes after you got there, you're getting...
You feel like years old again. You can't wait to get out the door.
Exactly, because it's all that old sacrifice that's come up. Now, people need to learn every relationship has sacrifice in it, but it's learning how to work through the sacrifice and always get back into a place of harmony and peace. And of course the greatest gift is to be in relationship with other people and still feel like you can be yourself. I mean, most people get married, they think, oh, that's the end of my life, they do the whole ball and chain thing, and they think, oh, this great sacrifice.
Yeah, that we think our spouse is somebody to be in sacrifice too.
Yeah, and none of that is true. It's about learning how to get out of your sacrifice. And each time you do that, you come back to a more committed relationship and you start getting what you want, because in truth, freedom comes from a committed relationship. But most people who are very independent, they just go, you're mad, Slavery comes from commitment,
So you've spent 20 years really kind of healing your own sacrifice patterns and helping people around the planet kind of heal their sacrifice patterns. Really, that's been your work, really, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So you've seen it from every angle and every perspective. And from your experience, what are the tips for both in our relationships, or if we're running a business and we feel like we have to be in sacrifice to our clients, or the people we work with or the people we collaborate with? How do we kind of go into healthier relationships with people?
Yeah, and once again it's learning about giving yourself, being authentic, and being real about who you are, and also about self-inclusion in what's going on. It's like, so often we get caught in this place where we just exclude ourselves, because that's what we did originally. We gave up on ourselves and made ourselves into whatever we thought other people wanted. So it's that reversing that process by going into recognizing, no, actually I'm going to include myself in this.
Yeah, I must admit, that's one of the things I found hardest. In all the work I've you and my other work is still putting myself into the equation.
Absolutely, yeah, self-inclusion. And because typically in sacrifice you're playing, you know, other people win, you lose. You know, that's essentially what it is. And after a while, you know, the pain of that is something, and that's why I say to people in workshops sometimes, especially independent men, of course when the men are very independent, it forces the partners into being into that sacrifice position, because they're always taking care of the independent person. And I always say to the independent person, I said, one day your partner's going to hit that rage of sacrifice, that they feel like they have given their whole life up to you and done all this stuff. When they feel that, man, you're going to pay for it.
At the end of that, you're going to know about it.
Absolutely. And of course that happens occasionally. So be really aware of not putting your partner into a sacrifice position as well. Because, you know, it'll be great for a while because you don't have to feel all your bad feelings and you're getting all your cares taken care of by the one that's in sacrifice. But sooner or later...
a switch point.
Yeah.
You go, enough, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm gone, and they hit that rage and anger and that thing.
But isn't that a big kind of pattern for people that are in the helping professions as well? You know, whether, you know, they're healers or, you know, coaches, often will invest more in our clients' happiness and success and healing than we will in our own happiness and success and healing. Do you find that?
Oh, absolutely. No, you're right on that one.
Yeah. Have you found that hard personally to self-include?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's the main thing that I work on, I guess, is that whole element of sacrifice, because as we've talked about guilt before, you know, our sacrifice pattern comes out of our guilt pattern. Our guilt is what drives sacrifice, and we've got a ton of that. So, you know, we'll always be dealing, you know, as long as we're caught in any amount of guilt, we're going to have sacrifice as well.
So it's to recognise that behind the sacrifice is the guilt. So if you can heal the guilt, you won't need the sacrifice.
Yeah. And the thing about sacrifice is kind of like where you've actually stepped back from yourself or stepped back from life. And an indication of how much sacrifice we're in is how difficult our lives are. Because in the moment as children, when we went into sacrifice, the instant you went into sacrifice was the instant that your life started becoming difficult.
You lost that flow, you lost that innocence, you lost that playfulness.
And you went into sacrifice to someone else. And after that, it was just a kind of downhill ride, and people, you know, now really either working really hard or getting burnt out or, you know, really struggling in their lives. You know, you can typically trace it back to that moment when they first went into sacrifice, and because that's the thing, sacrifice doesn't work. And if you lead a life of sacrifice, it just means your life's not going to work.
You're not going to be a happy camper.
No.
So it's all about going back and finding our innocence, isn't it? That original self that has no guilt and that has no fear.
And also, just cleaning that stuff up and learning about forgiveness and learning about being authentic, you know, and having the courage once again to live your life, to be who you are, and to be really true to yourself. You know.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Fascinating conversation. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank
Cheers.
You.